watch something new, learn something new. Welcome to your digital classroom. I am Saji Kevi and you are watching my channel, The Eureka. In the previous video, we learned Shylock refused to show mercy on Antonio, and finally Portia tells Shylock that he has the right to claim for the pound of flesh of Antonio. Portia, have you some surgeon, Shylock, on your charge to stop his wounds lest he do bleed to death? Have you arranged a doctor at your expense so that he could be stopped from bleeding to death? Shylock, is it not so nominated in the bond? Is it mentioned in the bond that I should arrange a doctor to save Antonio from bleeding to death? Portia, it is not so expressed. But what of that? It were good you do so much for charity. It is true. It is not mentioned that you have to arrange a doctor to save Antonio from bleeding to death. But what does it matter? You could do so much out of your kindness for Antonio. Shylock, I cannot find it. It is not in the bond. I do not find it. It is not mentioned in the bond. Portia, you merchant, have you anything to say? Antonio, do you want to say anything further? Antonio, but little. I am armed and well prepared. I do not have much to say. I am well equipped with spiritual strength. I am spiritually prepared for my death. Give me your hand, Bassanio. Fare you well. Please shake hand with me, Bassanio. Goodbye, Bassanio. Grieve not that I am fallen to this for you, for herein fortune shows herself more kind than is her custom. Don't be sad just because I have fallen to this misfortune, because fortune is more kind to me than her usual custom. It is still her use to let the wretched man outlive his wealth, and to view with hollow eye and wrinkled brow an age of poverty, from which lingering penance of such misery doth she cut me off. It is usually the custom of the fortune to allow the ruined person to live so that his hollow eyes and wrinkled face present his poverty-stricken condition to others, and he would be allowed to suffer the ruin of his wealth in the course of time. And fortune is kind to me. Therefore, fortune saves me from the prolonged suffering if Antonio cuts off a pound of flesh of me from close to my heart. Come and meet your honorable wife. Tell her the process of Antonio's end. Convey my respect and love to your wife, Portia, and tell her about my end. Say how I loved you. Speak fair in death. And when the tale is told, bid her be judged whether Bassanio had not once a love. Now, speak well of me after my death. After narrating the story, ask her to be the judge whether Bassanio had in his life a true friend. Repent, but you that you shall lose your friend. And he repents not that he pays your debt. Regret that you are going to lose your beloved friend. But he does not regret that he is paying your debt. I do not have any regret that I am paying your debt. I am going to die for your sake. I do not have any regret feeling over it. For if the Jew do cut but deep enough, I'll pay it instantly with all my heart. If the cut of the Jew is deep enough, I shall pay it immediately, wholeheartedly. I do not have any regret of dying for your sake. Bassanio, Antonio, I am married to a wife which is as dear to me as life itself. Antonio, I am married to a wife and she is as dear as my life itself. Life itself, my wife and all the world are not with me esteemed above thy life. But my life, my wife and all that I possess cannot be esteemed beyond your life. Your life is more precious to me than anything else in this world. I would lose all, sacrifice them all here to do this devil to deliver you. I am willing to sacrifice all that I have, my life, my wife, and all that I possess in order to save you from the clutches of this devil, this Shylock. And this is another offer Bassanio makes to save Antonio from the clutches of Shylock. That shows Antonio is loved by Bassanio very much. For Bassanio, life of Antonio is more precious than anything else. Thus, he has proved himself to be a true friend of Antonio. He is loyal to Antonio. Portia, your wife would give you little thanks for that if she were by to hear you make this offer. Your wife would not be happy to hear that you make such an offer in the absence of your wife. Graciano, I have a wife who I protest I love. I would she were in heaven, so she could entreat some power to change this cherished Jew. I have a wife whom I love dearly, I promise. But I wish she were in heaven so that she could pray to some divine power to change this cruel, vile, spiteful Jew. I wish my wife were dead and be in heaven. Nerissa, it's well you offer it behind her back. This wish would make else unquiet house. It's good that you make this offer the absence of your wife. Otherwise, there would be dispute in your domestic life, your life at home. Shylock, these be Christians' husbands. I have a daughter. Would any of the stock of Barabas had been her husband rather than a Christian? These are the Christian husbands. They are ready to sacrifice their lives for their friend. And I too have a daughter. I wish a descendant of Barabas married my daughter rather than marrying a Christian. We know Shylock's daughter married Lorenzo, a Christian. And thus Shylock hates Christian more than anyone else in this world. And he tells, let the descendant of Barabas marry my daughter, not a Christian. the enmity and hatred between the Christians and the Jews is highlighted through this line. Barabas was the notorious criminal of Jerusalem, and he was set free when Pontius Pilate asked whether Jesus Christ or Barabas be set free. And the people, the Jews, demanded Barabas be free and Jesus Christ be crucified. He was a criminal, and Shylock wants the descendant of Barabas should marry his daughter, not a Christian. We trifle time. I pray thee pursue sentence. We waste time like this useless talk. I request you to pronounce the judgment. Portia, a pound of that same merchant's flesh is thine. The court awards it, and the Lord doth give it. The judgment is this: the court awards a pound of flesh of the merchant here, and the law gives it, the law permits it. You are allowed to have a pound of flesh of Antonio by law, and the judgment of the court is this, that you can have a pound of flesh of Antonio. Shylock, most rightful judge, yes, you are a rightful and upright judge, Portia, and you must cut the flesh from off his breast. The law allows it, the court awards it. You can cut the flesh of Antonio close to his heart. The court awards it, and the law permits it. Shylock, most learned judge, a sentence, come prepare. You are the most learned judge. You have made an excellent judgment. Come, prepare yourself for the pound of flesh from your body, Antonio. Portia, tarry a little, there is something else. This bond doth give thee here not jot of blood. And we find Shylock goes for cutting the pound of flesh of Antonio at the moment. Portia ordered him, tarry, wait a moment. There is something else is mentioned in the law. You can have a pound of flesh without a drop of blood of Antonio. The words expressed are a pound of flesh. Take then thy bond, take thou thy bond of flesh. But in the cutting it, if thou dost shed one drop of Christian blood, thy lands, goods, and are by the laws of Venice confiscate unto the state of Venice. Remember, the bond shows that you have the right to a pound of flesh of Antonio, but not a drop of blood. And therefore, while cutting that pound of flesh of Antonio, if you drop a drop of blood, then your land, your goods, everything will be seized by the state of Venice. That will be confiscated to the state. Gratiano, upright judge, mark you, or learned judge. And Gratiano became very happy hearing this verdict, that Shylock can have pound of flesh without shedding a drop of blood. And it is clear that Shylock can never cut a pound of flesh of Antonio without dropping the blood. And Gratiano exclaims, you are an upright judge. Mark you are a learned judge. Shylock, is that the law? Is it the law? Portia, thyself shall see the act, for as thou urgest justice, and be assured thou shalt have justice more than thou desires. You shall see that this is the law. And you urged justice, you demanded justice, and you will have justice more than you ever dreamt of. So here, Portia indirectly hints him that the consequences that he will have to face because of his cruel demand for the pound of flesh of Antonio. Graciano, O learned judge, mark you, O learned judge. And Graciano exclaims, saying that Portia is a learned judge, is an upright judge. Shylock, I take this offer, then pay the bond thrice, let the Christian go. Now I accept the offer. Give me 3 eyes of the bond. Let the Christian go. Let Antonio be free. Bassanio, here is the money. I am ready to pay the money. Portia sobbed. Wait for some time. The Jew shall have all justice. Sobbed, no haste. He will have nothing but the penalty. The Jew will have his justice. Wait for some time. Don't be in a hurry. He will have nothing but the penalty, a pound of flesh of Antonio. Graciano, a Jew, an upright Jew, a learned Jew. Graciano exclaims again and again that she is a learned judge, an upright judge, a learned judge. Portia, therefore, prepare thee to cut off the flesh. Shed thou no blood, nor cut thou less nor more, but just a pound of flesh. If thou cuttest more or less than a pound of flesh, be it but so much as it makes light or heavy in the substance, or division of the 20th part of one poor scruple. Nay, if the scale do turn but in the estimation of hair, thou diest, and all the goods are confiscate. Shylock, prepare yourself to cut a pound of flesh of Antonio. While cutting the blood, remember, you shall not shed a drop of blood of Antonio, and it should not weigh more or less than exactly 1 pound of flesh, which is mentioned in the bond. And if you cut more or less than even the weight of a hair, even the 20th part of a scruple, all your land goods will be seized by the state, and you will be put to death for it. Graciano, a second Daniel, a Daniel Jew, now infidel, I have thee on the hip. A second Daniel has come. I have a strong hold on you now. An infidel Jew, a non-believer Jew, I have a strong hold on you now. Portia, why that Jew pause? Take thy forfeiture. Why does the Jew stop there? Go and take a pound of flesh of Antonio. Shylock, give me my principal, let me go. Give me my principal amount, 3,000 ducats, I shall leave the court. Bassanio, I have it ready for thee, here it is. Bassanio, I have it ready for thee, here it is. I have it. Take it. Portia, he hath refused in the open court. He will have merely justice and his bond. He has refused in the open court that he will not accept any money except a pound of flesh of Antonio. Therefore, he will not have money but justice and his bond. Graciano, a Daniel, still say I, a second Daniel, I thank the Jew for teaching me that word. Again and again, Graciano exclaims, calling Portia a second Daniel, and he thanks the Jew for teaching the word Daniel. Daniel was the prophet of Israel who was known for his wisdom and judgment. Graciano, Shylock, shall I not have barely my principal? Shall I not have even my principal amount 3,000 ducats? Portia, thou shalt have nothing but the forfeiture to be so taken at thy peril Jew. Shylock, you will have nothing but the forfeiture, the penalty for the non-payment, a pound of flesh of Antonio, that also taken at your risk. Shylock, why then the devil give him good of it? I will stay no longer question. Well then, may the devil take him. I shall not stay here any longer to argue with him. Thanks for watching my channel. Kindly subscribe, like and share. Give your feedback and ask your doubts without any hesitation. Stay tuned for more videos.